Silvarum by Dean Kuhta. Narrated by Dan Bottomley. Chapter 12. CAAT version 1.2.13.
Are you telling me that this mask can really see four-dimensional objects in their actual forms? Put it on and find out, said Mercresh.
The boy examined the glove. It was an impressive meld of digital technology, steam-powered engineering, and artistic form. For the amount of hardware that was attached to it and the intricacy of its design, it felt surprisingly light. Roger bounced it up and down in his hands several times. Much of its construction consisted of several interconnected sections of dark brown leather. Each of the components were fortified with brass rivets that reflected the lantern light of the room. The feel of the mask's skin was pliable and satisfying. It reminded him of the leather chair that was tucked away in the corner of his father's study. He lifted the mask and breathed in a mixture of fresh leather and oiled metal. As he had briefly observed upstairs, Roger now studied the main components of the mask in detail. They were comprised of the air filter, the giant eye lenses, the visual mechanism, and the cone-shaped auditory apparatus. Each example of technology was exorbitantly intricate and fascinating. The filter cartridge was a multi-layered spherical box that protruded from the location of the mouth. It was fabricated from dark metal and contained holes of varied sizes. Two cross-sectioned flexible air hoses extended out from either side of the cartridge. They wrapped around both sides of the mask towards the back and connected to a metal box that was located just above the base of the neck. The eye lenses were equally massive and engrossed most of the area of the front of the mask. Shiny brass frames fitted with silver rivets surrounded and secured the glass of each lens. The glass was murky green and flashed emerald highlights as Roger moved the mask in his hands. An elaborate collection of optical instruments, in the form of coloured lenses and visual enhancements, was attached to the left eyepiece. Each adaptable lens could be individually flipped up or down over the central apparatus. A web of copper switches, knobs and calibration dials engulfed the device. The acoustic enhancement was a miniature copper horn attached to a small aperture on the right ear. The open mouth of the mechanism was aimed forward and could be adjusted and calibrated by several brass gears and cogs. 3 clear tubes curled from the end of the horn and disappeared into the side of the mask. Roger lifted the mask above his head and slowly slipped it on. It fit like a glove. The soft skin cradled his facial features, and the scent of the leather and metal was intoxicating. He blinked a few times to adjust to the new perspective. The view through the eye lenses allowed for a clear and unobstructed display of his surroundings. The emerald-tinted glass of the right eye produced a blanket of green, while the left lens processed objects into a three-dimensional crispness and fidelity. "Wow!" gasped Roger as he turned his head and looked around the room. "Are you reacting to the impressive view of the Oculus 2584? asked Mercresh. "Yes. Is that what you've named it?" Roger's voice generated a mechanical tone as he spoke through the mask's mouthpiece. "For now," replied the old man. "What do you think?" The boy continued to spin around. "Honestly, the name sounds pretty bad. What if you just called it the Oculus and took off the 2584 part?" Mercresh chuckled. "That actually sounds much better. I like it. The Oculus it shall be." "Cool," replied Roger as he turned to the glass enclosure. "That thing doesn't look different, though," he said. "That's because you haven't even turned the mask on," replied Mercresh. "It turns on." "Of course it does. Reach up and press the button that's below the aperture over your left ear." Roger felt for the button. As he pushed it, 3 distinct actions occurred within the mask. The first was the sound of a high-pitched twang immediately followed by a low hum. The vibration of the sound sent a gentle shock wave throughout the layers and components of the mask. The second action was that the acoustic device on his right ear activated, and he could hear everything with stunning clarity and sharpness. The pops of bubbling liquid within a beaker near the back of the workshop, the tip-tap of Click's brass legs as he crawled around a table of tools in the woodworking section. As he began to filter through all the sounds, Roger could even make out the chirping of crickets through the windows upstairs. The third action, however, sent the boy's senses into a virtual mind spin. Both eye lenses flickered on. The right lens switched from an emerald green haze to a crystal clear screen. A blue HUD awoke along the borders of the right lens. Streams of data began to flash and display upon the glass. Power, range, tracking, time, and target were a few of the data headings that he could read.
"Holy shit," gasped Roger. "This thing's computerized."
"You bet it is," replied McCresh. Roger peered through the left lens. The 3D effect was apparent, but there was no other noticeable change.
"What's wrong with the left lens?" asked Roger.
"Nothing. I have one more toy to show you." The boy turned and saw that McCresh was holding out the mechanical glove that he had been wearing earlier. "No way," said Roger.
"Yes, way. Put it on and try it out."
Roger took the glove and cased it onto his right hand. It fit up to his elbow. Buttons and dials covered its leather and brass body. He wiggled his fingers into place and felt sensors at the tips of each finger.
"Are you ready for a quick overview of the controls?" asked McCresh.
"Are you kidding me? This is the coolest thing ever."
"The sensors on your fingertips control everything in your mask and the glove. There are so many code combinations, however, that I have had to develop a program that will display all of them and their functions on your heads-up display. I am way too old at this point to remember all the combos. There are about 1,000 distinct functions that you can choose from. Tap your index finger 3 times and your thumb once to display the list."
Roger tapped the combination with his fingertips. Instead of the control program being displayed, a 3D grid popped onto the screen and a computerized female voice spoke to him.
"Plasma pulse online," she said. "Please lock onto the requested target and fire when ready."
"Oh no!" exclaimed McCresh.
"Quick, press your index finger 3 times and then your thumb twice to disengage it."
Roger fumbled with the glove as he tried to process the instructions and remember the difference between his index finger and thumb. He tapped the combo, and the green grid and voice disappeared.
"Good grief," he said. "What in the world was that?"
"Sorry about that," replied McCresh. "I told you that my memory is not as sharp as it used to be. That was a plasma weapon, but I don't think you're ready for that yet."
"This thing has weapons too."
"It has all kinds of features. I'll train you on the weaponry later. For now, let's focus on the basics like turning things on and off without blowing up my workshop."
"Good idea," said Roger.
"Let's try that again. This time, tap your index finger 2 times and your thumb 2 times. Roger executed the combo and immediately saw a new heading from the menu bar at the top of the screen that read, Master Control. It worked. I can see the Master Control program. Great. When you move your hand in the air, you should also see an arrow pointer on your screen that follows you. Roger moved his hand in circles and watched for the arrow on the screen. I see it. Now, whenever you want to select something from the menus, just press your index finger 1 time. When you want to execute a program or function, all you have to do is click twice with your index finger. Got it? I think so. Should I select the Master Control program and then run it? Yes, please, replied McCresh. Roger twirled his gloved finger in the air and carefully manoeuvred the pointer up to the menu bar. He felt like a symphony conductor guiding a stage of musicians through the layers of a dramatic crescendo. As he clicked on the Master Control menu item, a drop-down list of additional options was displayed. They included List, Custom, Search, and Help. Roger thought for a moment and then clicked on the List item. Another submenu dropped off to the right side of the main menu and displayed the first 10 options in alphabetical order. These included Active ARS, active AVR, active ear, active ear 01, active I 01, active CAAT, active JARP, active logs, and active mod 7. I can see the first 10 functions, said Roger. Splendid. Do you see the one called Activate CAAT? Yes, but it says Active CAAT. That's the one. Click on that. What do the other functions do? What's Active Mod 7? Active Mod 7? Replied McCresh. No, don't worry about that one right now. I'll tell you about it some other time. For now, please just execute the CAAT program. Roger moved the cursor down to the function and then selected it. Yet another submenu was generated. It displayed the values 2 to 1, 3 to 1, 2 to 2. There are a bunch of numbers and dashes now. That's the combo for executing the program with your finger pads. Want to try and guess what they mean? Roger peered at the series of numbers and dashes on his heads-up display and mumbled to himself. I'll give you a hint, said McCresh. Your thumb is designated as location 1, your index finger is location 2, and so on. Your pinky finger is location 5. Oh, cool, replied the boy. I think I get it. He tapped his index finger once, then his second finger once, then his index finger 2 more times. The charming female voice returned to the speakers inside the mask. Good evening. Please provide the required combination of the function you wish to execute. Wow, said Roger. Say hello to your new friend, CAAT. Does that stand for something? Computerized Assistant and Auditory Technology. Cool. Does she respond to voice commands too? Not yet, I'm afraid, replied McCresh. She can only interact with the glove combos in this version. I was almost finished with implementing her voice recognition functionality, but as you'll see in a moment, I recently became completely distracted by another breakthrough. CAAT is only version 1.2.13. Her version 2.0 will have a VR interface. I promise. She's super cool already, replied Roger. Let's try something more advanced, shall we? Asked McCresh. From the master control menu, click on the search option and type in the letters EYECULUS. Roger moved the pointer back to the menu with search and pressed his index finger once. A text box opened. Wait a second, he said. How am I supposed to type with this glove on? Good question, replied McCresh. It might be helpful if I teach you that now. It's really easy. All you have to do is tap all your fingers once at the same time to bring up the keyboard. Tap them all again to get rid of it. Roger tapped his fingers all at once. A virtual keyboard was displayed in the centre of the eye lens. I can't believe how cool this thing is. Thank you. It still has a few defects to work out, but it's definitely fun to play with. Now that you have the keyboard up, all you have to do is point and click on the specific key to type. Unfortunately, you must hunt and peck for the time being. At some point, I'll have the other glove finished, and you'll be able to type with both hands. With the text box still opened, Roger twirled his fingers around in the air and typed out the letters EYECULUS. Do I need to click on this looking glass icon? Yes, click it. That executes the search. Searching, said CAAT. An hourglass animation popped up next to the text box. Tiny bites of sand fell through the top of the hourglass and piled up at the bottom. After a few iterations of falling sand, a result set was displayed on the screen. Search complete. 376 results found, she said. That's a lot for Iculus, said McCresh. Try filtering the search. Click on the Refine button and then type MAGNIFY. Roger typed in the refined search term. Searching, said CAAT. More bites of sand. Search complete. 3 results found. Much better, said McCresh.
Can you please read the results out to me?
Sure. It says Iculus Magnify 01, 02, and 03.
Very well.
The old man peered across the room.
Click. Where in the world are you?
The mechanical spider was in the process of spinning a huge web between an assortment of glass beakers and tubes. Upon hearing the old man's voice, he looked up and produced a loud mechanical chirp.
There you are, said Macresh. Stay still a moment if you don't mind. I want to show Roger something, and then you can carry on with your web making.
Click chirped in acknowledgement.
All right, Roger, if you'd please focus your attention to Click across the room.
The boy turned and searched for the spider in his web.
I see him. How well can you see his features from here?
Not very well. He just looks like a teeny bronze blob.
Wonderful. Now, if you'd please select the search result for Iculus Magnify 02 and retrieve its combination.
Roger moved the pointer over the appropriate selection and clicked. It displayed the combo 4-1, 5-1, 1-2. He slowly and carefully tapped out the sequence with his fingertips.
Iculus Magnification Level 2 initiated, said CAAT.
Roger gazed across the workshop in the direction of Click. The left eye lens swiftly cycled through the selection of adapters and then focused in on the mechanical arachnid. Where before he could only see the basic shape of the spider's bronze and metallic form, with the enhanced magnification of level 2, he could now easily make out the exact number of teeth on each of his cogwheels and gears. "Wow!" exclaimed Roger. "That's so much better."
"How does our friend look now?" asked Macresh.
"I can see the scratches on the brass of his smallest gears. I can even see the hydraulic levers and pistons extending up and down along his legs as he moves."
"Perfect. Are you feeling more comfortable with the basic operations of the mask and glove?"
"A little better, yes, but I want to keep going. What else can you show me? Can we shoot the plasma gun now?"
"Not yet," replied Macresh.
"We'll get to all that soon enough.
Not to worry. However, I do think you're ready to take that test I mentioned earlier. Please reset the magnification back to level 1 and take a look over here."